Hey guys, Steve here. Ask Steve number 17. Welcome. Glad to have you here. Heaps of questions today. And if you're not, sure what's going on, this is the whole Ask Steve thing I do. And you ask questions in the comments and I will answer them on the next video. Pretty much goes like that. It's pretty simple. Sorry for, just extreme lack of videos. I went to Japan, did all the vlogs, did a whole bunch of videos and I got back. And then I got deathly sick, like really bad. Had the flu, chest infection, coughing every day, coughing my guts out, vomiting. Oh my God, it was actually terrible. But I'm just today finally starting to feel better just a little bit. So I'll probably cough a whole bunch throughout this, but I've been delaying the videos, trying to make myself like wait until I feel better, but I just can't do it anymore. I want to get these questions asked so we can get some new questions in and help people. I do feel bad. It's been like a month for some of these and maybe they don't even need help anymore if it's been a month. So I do feel bad, but announcement. I've made a Discord for the YouTube channel, It's pretty much it. And I know in the past I've been against the Discords because, it's lots of drama and stuff, but I'm going to do my best to keep it drama free. Feel free to join. The link will be in the description. There's channels and stuff. Just general talking. If you need help and advice, simple questions, you want to get like a more broader, what's the words? You want to get more people's eyes on the questions and then more people can help you. We can have disagreements. We can have agreements. Don't be stupid, whatever. Yeah. If people are stupid and they join, I'll just ban them straight away. So it's not like a feel free to do whatever you want kind of Discord. It's more of like a nice place with a bunch of people who like helping others and are in the realm of, being better. So I gotta close this door. This is already starting off. Already starting off terrible. All right. Kim's cleaning the floor, so I had to close the door. First question of the day. What a terrible way to come back. How's my hair looking? Oh, should get a haircut again, probably. Hi, Steve. Oh, from Slab Vault. Hi, Steven. If Pokemon were real, which Pokemon would you choose as a family pet and why? I mean, that's crazy. There's so many good Pokemon that are like, Arceus is like a god. And then there's like legendaries, Mewtwo, Mew. Whenever you watch that anime, you see Mr. Mime. He's always like being helpful, doing dishes, carrying stuff. Or Machoke. They're pretty good. I'll probably go with Mr. Mime or Machoke because they're, humanoid-like. And Mr. Mime's pretty funny when he's just like doing his stuff. That's the best I could do for you. Sebastian Torres. That's a crazy name. What's your opinion on the new green track letter prices? Okay, so for everyone who doesn't know, in Australia, we have multiple options of where to send things, and the cheapest option is a green tracked envelope. And it used to be $3.80, and they've just upped the price to $5. That's our cheapest way to send tracking in Australia. So that's good for single cards. But yeah, $5 shipping, I mean, you're starting to get up there. That's like really deters people from buying really, really cheap singles. And it just makes me sad. If anyone wants to buy like a $5 card, they have to pay $10. It's just not a good thing. It promotes like a lot more in-person physical sales. And I guess that's just how it is. I don't really know. I mean, you just have to try and have a large selection, have a variety, and people can pick up like 10, 15, 20 cards at a time. If you want to keep running a store that sells singles, you can't really get away with like really cheap $1, $2, $3 because it's like $5. And I don't ship untracked anymore because I don't want to deal with any of that. Yeah, I wish we had like an eBay envelope kind of like the US does, but we don't have that. Well, it's a big question from RP Mick. All right, be with me. I was thinking, sorry, before I get into this, I'm actually going to do a lot more smaller videos on some of these questions because some of them are so good and they kind of get lost in these big 2 hours, sometimes Ask Steve videos. So, just a quick glass of water. I was thinking, some of these questions I'm going to pull apart and make it like an own video, 5-10 minute video, and just put it up because it might be more helpful that way. Sorry, I had to have a small break there. My dog's going crazy. Question from RP Mick. Stephen, just found your channel and have been binging your Ask Steve videos. We're doing one right now. Love the style and the perspective. I've been teaching my 2 young boys about running a business while we lived here in Japan the last 2 years. And we are not looking to move back to America this summer. So you are looking or not looking? Okay. I'm reading this the best I can. I have 2 questions for you as we want to continue our eBay selling experience from the US after we move. Oh, so you are moving back to the US. Okay, nice. What should And would you prioritize before leaving Japan if you had you put $2 USD budget? I think that might be 2,000 because $2, it's not going to get you that much. And how would you recommend a small business value lots when buying on eBay? Do you have a method you've used with moderate success if the intent is to grade and resell the tents? Thank you. Keep up the great work. So, first question. What should you prioritize buying from Japan? So there really isn't that much like Japan stuff that's like mega exclusive just because you're in Japan, because it's so easy to access buying online from Japan for pretty much every exclusive. But the thing I can say is if you are into card grading, like you said, grade and resell the tens, I would put time into like researching a lot of cards and then going out and trying to find them, because that's the one thing that we can't do from overseas is buy from the actual physical card stores and look at the cards in person. So that's what I would focus on doing. If you're going to buy a bunch of singles, condition check them as much as possible from stores and then come back with a bunch of Gem Mint cards, grade them while you're in the US and then sell them. And that's what I would use the budget for. Do you have a method you've used with moderate success to buying lots? So there's two different kind of lots. There's lots from an eBay seller like me. Maybe I'll put up like 1,000 cards. I haven't done it in a long time, but I have done it in the past, like just 1,000 bulk cards and just put it up. That's like a lot of bulk cards. Or there is a collection. So if you're trying to, buy and grade and resell, you can't really buy lots and then expect to get lots of Gem Mint 10s. But you can buy collections, because collections generally aren't picked through by the person who's selling them. They just want to get out, sell all their stuff. So there's two parts of it. You want to be trying to focus on people like the first person to sell the cards. If you get to like the second or third or fourth person who's like touched the cards and sold them, the chance of getting the Gem Mint is not as good. But in saying that, for me, my stuff is split in half. I sell graded cards and I sell single cards. I love buying played damaged singles and I just list them on eBay and I sell them. I sell hundreds of them every week. And, I actually enjoy selling played and damaged singles a little bit more than graded cards sometimes. It's more fulfilling. But, if you're trying to buy collections, I'd probably try to find the first person who's selling the collection and then make sure you look over it. Make sure it's not like looking like a scam, fake cards and everything. But yeah, that's what I can say for you. Aiden3247. How do you interact with card store employees in Japan? Assuming I also don't know any Japanese. Will every card store let you take cards out of the sleeve? How do I know if the store has a specific area for checking cards, or if I'm supposed to do it in front of the cases? Are specific employees the ones you're supposed to ask to open the cases for you? How do I know if there's a buy limit on certain modern cards? So that's a lot of questions. So let's start it off with, how do you interact with card store employees? So, you want to try and be a general, nice, quiet, easy person. Don't stand in front of everyone. Don't have a huge backpack. Don't stand like to the side in a walkway. Try to get out of people's way and try to be like a ghost. Like most Japanese people, they try to just get out of people's way and be a ghost. So when you're interacting, generally if you go into a store and you find a card you want to look at, you go up to someone, you type, not type. What am I, in a video game? You say showcase. And that pretty much means you want to look at something in the showcase, because the cards and displays is the showcase. Taking cards out of the sleeves. Sometimes employees will pull the card out, push the card out of a sleeve halfway, and then you grab the card on the sleeve part. You don't grab it on the card, obviously. You turn it around. Some stores will bring you over to an area, put the card on like a little black mat. You can pick up the mat and look at the card, but you can't touch it. It depends on the value of the card usually, and depends on the card store, what kind of cards they sell. Everything about like, should I go to a card checking area? Should I ask the right employee? All that's kind of just doesn't really matter, because you just ask anyone. Generally, every employee over there does everything. So, or they'll get someone. Sometimes there's a person at the front desk doing the cashiers, and you say showcase. They'll give you a number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that'll be your number in line. The person will go around, help everyone else out. You wait there for what you want to look at, and they'll call number 3, and then they say that. Some stores are like that. It depends how many employees and stuff like that are around the place. How do I know if there's a buy limit on certain modern cards? As far as I'm aware, there's only like 2 stores that had like really actual buy limits, so I wouldn't really worry about it too much. But if you try to grab 5 of them and they say 4 max, or only 4, they'll hold up like 4 fingers, then you know it's 4. Like, I wouldn't worry about it until it actually happens. Raichu Skater 69. Question for next time. What is your advice while shopping in Osaka? That neighborhood with a lot of card shops is awesome, but pretty overwhelming. Yeah, I mean, Osaka to me personally is the best place to go. just for everything. Not even just to buy cards to sell, or it's just like the atmosphere of like that card. What do they call it? Den Town or something? Or that one strip of stores, there's like 40, 50 of them. That is honestly my favorite place to buy cards in Japan. And it wasn't really I could buy them that had the best deals per se. It was just such an amazing experience just to go there. Now, there's a lot of stores, but the thing is, you don't have to buy at the first one you reach. You don't have to buy at the second store you reach. Like, they're so close together, you can kind of go between, check the condition, do that, do this, make sure, check the price here and there, check your prices online, stuff like that. I wouldn't just go and buy off the first store unless you know you see something that's like crazy good. All the stores are different. They all have a little bit of extra, because most stores have like the same modern cards, and then they'll all have like a used/played card area of like older and more like rarer cards or something like that. So I'd probably try to, like what I did, I tried to search out those areas. Like, you know, I bought a Rayquaza Poncho Pikachu. It was 90,000 yen or something like that. And it had a little bit of edge around the top and edge around the bottom, and it had a dent in it. And I graded it, got a PSA 9. So I don't know how it gets PSA 9, but I took the chance of buying like the more played cards in the rare cards section, and then I got PSA 9. So these things can happen, and that's what I try to look for. But if I'm looking for specific modern cards, I try to research it the night before or the day of, and then I'm like, okay, I want to make sure I get 4 of these so I can grade them, because I've had success with them in the past. So I hope that helps. If you need more, just ask more questions. Hi, Steve. Love these videos. Based on your experience selling on eBay so far, which is better between selling ungraded and graded cards? That is like the craziest question. Which is better? Well, I can't just give you a small one. Let's use the board. Okay, so we have raw cards. We have graded. Let me do this, because it's unfair. Which one's better? Because if I just say a word, it doesn't really help. Can you see that? Yeah, you can kind of see that. All right. What's some pros of raw cards? Well, you don't have to grade them, so no grading. Obvious, right? You can sell instantly almost. I have terrible writing. I haven't written on this whiteboard in like a month. So when I say sell instantly, you can list the card instantly as soon as you get it. You don't have to send it off to grade. You know, the graded cards, the con, I guess, like I'm just writing cons of both and pros, I guess, you'll be able to see. So graded cards, you have to wait, you know. Per card, there we go. So I've written here, you got to wait for it to be graded. Obviously the time, you got $15. That's the bulk amount currently for bulk grading. $15 plus per card. And it's a little bit more than that, because if you sell an item on eBay for $15, you only get $13.50. So, and even some people get like $13. So you kind of have to sell a graded card for like $16 or $17 to even break even on the actual physical grading fee. And then that's before shipping and everything else. So it actually might be like $18 or $19 before you even break even on sending the card away to grade. And that's why it's important to check the cards millions of times. So, you know, that's some bad things about graded cards. And raw cards, you're pretty good. You know grading, you can sell them instantly. Graded cards, higher profit, I'd say probably less work. You know, it's no, everyone who sells graded cards or even buys graded cards knows that they're more expensive when they're PSA 9, PSA 10, BGS 10, whatever you want to do. And you get higher profit and it's less work. Now, grading cards in a mass scale still is a lot of work. As you can see behind me on the shelf, these are all the submissions I received this week. I've scanned them all, and I'm getting ready to do videos on the grading returns, because I like showing my grade returns off. And I don't know if you guys can even hear me, so I'm so far away. But, you know, it's a lot of work. And if you can see this, the boxes here, this is how many boxes I got returned. Because I send the little batches each at a time, and there's more boxes off to the right here. So, yeah, grading has a lot of work if you do it in a mass scale. But, you know, if you're selling 50 graded cards or 50 singles, generally the amount of money you get, if you get some good grades and you're good at grading, you can get way higher profits with the amount of time invested. That's one good thing, because you got a 10 that sells for $200 and it sells raw for like $50 mint. And, you know, obviously anyone. And if you buy it for 40 or manage to find some for like 35, 40, and you make $10 on a raw card, which is very common, but you can make 100 on the graded card version. Yeah, it's all about cash flow. So that's one thing about raw, which is pretty good. Cash flow. you know, if I spend, what is that, an E? Cash flow. That's terrible writing. So if you think about it, if I spend $10,000 on raw cards and then list, $10,000 of raw cards, cats are going crazy. I have in total whatever the value of those cards listed. And I've done it straight away and I've spent a weekend working really hard. That's done and dusted. There's no extra fees. With me, I got the graded cards. You know, if I grade $10,000 worth of cards, plus I have to buy the cards in the first place. I mean, I got cards everywhere, graded cards. I have like 4,500 listed in total with all the multi-quantities and everything. You got to think about that. For me, that's like almost $27 a card for Australian. You know, whatever that is, that's a lot of money. That's like almost like $110,000 just like tied up. Like 110, you know what I mean? Like $110,000 just in grading fees, just sitting. Not even the value of the cards. And there's no guarantee that they're going to sell, no guarantee that, you know, like I'm going to make a good margin. And that's kind of gets a little bit scary with graded cards. And that's why you see a lot of people who do graded cards, they do more auctions than raw cards. There's a lot of raw cards that go on auction, but on average, lots of people like just mass sell their graded cards really fast because it's a huge, like, a lot of cost just built into it, and then you're just like sitting on them. I have some cards I've listed for a year and they haven't sold, and then eventually they probably do. But there's just a long time that money has been like tied up. And I think someone else asked a question about grading cards, so I'm going to get more into this later on. But that's pretty much what you're looking at. So personally, I think a mix of both. I don't think that one or other is better. I do both. I enjoy singles more because I can buy the singles, estimate the price I see them online, do all this thing, list them. It's really cool to see someone buy, like, you know, yesterday someone bought like 10 fish Pokemon, Magikarps, Gyarados, Lumineon, Luvdisc. And then they bought like 7 or 6 fishing rods from different sets, super rods. The trainer card. I mean, that's cool to see. That doesn't really happen with graded cards because you can't grade every card. So I prefer raw cards, but as someone, if you have more money and I'm trying to make, you know, the equivalent of a livable wage, you know, I'm trying to replicate like an $80,000, $90,000 salary for myself because that's what my old job would pay. I have to move into graded cards because that's really hard to do with just selling lots and lots and lots of singles. Like there's just too much work for that to be able to happen. So grading cards, you know, like this week I graded 3 Latias Gold Star PSA 10s. Obviously, it's completely random. There's a lot of luck involved, and you have to find them in Gem Mint, and they have to grade Gem Mint. But I probably paid like $2,500 for those cards, and their value is probably around like $12,000, $13,000. Do I deserve the $11,000? Who the hell knows? But obviously, to get that out of raw cards is going to be a really big deal. Now, I'm obviously talking about the higher echelon. I have some graded cards like this one. This one here, this Scarlet Violet pre-order. I have around 100 copies of these graded PSA 10 left. I had 220 at one point. Yes, that was silly to do for me, but you know, 100 copies is $2,700 just sitting there. If I spent that on raw cards, that would be sold within the next like 2 months because raw cards, in my experience, sell a lot faster if you price them to the market or a little bit lower. And then you can get a better feeling for things. You go out and buy more stuff. With graded cards, unless you're working with hundreds of thousands of dollars, it can get very boring to get 50 cards back from grading, list them, and then you sell like 5 in the first month. So I hope that helps, that question. So that's a really good... I'm gonna mark this question. I'm gonna do a video on that because I feel like that was good. I'm gonna do a separate video on that. Good job. Thank you, Life of Paul. Beast Crafter. Is there any way for us Aussies to buy from the Pokemon Center US and ship it here? Yeah, it's hard, honestly. You have to use like middleman shipping. I don't really know if there is any real US middleman shippings. I know they ship my cards, but I try to just avoid English product because the barrier to entry for Australians on English product is really, really hard. Now, you can find American sellers. You can find American websites that are cheaper than eBay. They list on eBay. They sell it on their websites 10% less. You could join Facebook groups to try and buy modern. There's a lot of people selling at cheaper prices than the people can even buy from distributors here in Australia, which is kind of crazy. So, you know, try to find those people in the groups who have lots of references. Sometimes, you know, we can't always take advantage of stuff from American Pokemon Center, and you might have to try and befriend someone, in the US. You buy 6 boxes, they send it to you, build a little bit of trust. It is risky, trust me, I know, but there's a lot of good people out there that are willing to help people. Maybe that's something the Discord's good with. You meet people that are the same type of thing that doesn't mind helping you. And then obviously in advance, you try and help them out a little bit. Obviously, you got to pay them a little bit of money, or you got to find them a good deal, or you offer them some advice, or you befriend them and, I don't know, send them pictures of your toes. I don't know. You know what I mean? So I got to delete that. Ugh. People stop watching now. My question is, if you could only... Oh, sorry. GL Wood. My question is, if you could only buy Pokemon cards of one type for the rest of your life, what type would it be? Probably Lightning type. Pikachu's my favorite. Ampharos is my favorite. Gen 2. I don't mind some of the other Lightning Pokemon. Electric Pokemon. Jolteon's pretty good. Zapdos, etc. Yeah, I think I'd probably go with Electric type because... unless your water type's pretty useful because then you never have to pay for water ever again. But if you've got Electric type, you don't have to pay for power. Maybe you can get a generator and get him to charge it. That's a tough question. What would you choose and why? Because that's a good question. There's so many different answers. Someone's going to come up with some crazy thing like, I'm going to get a rock type Pokemon and they're going to help me level 4,000 square meters to build a building on top of it or something. Well, I'm just I can get free water. So, oh, yeah, my throat's starting to kill me. I'm sorry, everyone. Okay, someone asked a question here, but I forgot to put the name on. I'm very sorry. Hey, Steve, quick question regarding the FI8170. So that's my single card scanner that I use. If you want to get more information on the FI8170, look it up online. It's mainly used for sports cards, but it's really good for trading cards as well. I purchased this scanner, but have found it to leave slight indents and streaks on the cards that I scan. Okay, that's not good. Have you encountered a similar issue? If so, how do you mitigate this? Your scans show no sign of the roller or guide marks. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure you reached out to me on Instagram as well about this question. I talked about it, I think. But the first thing I would do, I would run 500, 1,000, even 2,000 cards through the scanner. You just put 50 in, play, 50 in, play. And you'll wear through the things. Maybe something that's touching the cards will wear through. And you can see the indents because you don't want that on your cards, obviously. And that's why my single store is generally made up of played and or damaged cards. And I don't list or sell very near mint cards on there because I'm running through a scanner and stuff like that. I'm unsleeving them to sort them. It's a lot easier to just sell played cards, in my opinion. I know I have a lot of near mint cards to list and stuff, but it's very daunting. I have to be very careful with them, and it's a lot easier just to throw played cards in a big card box and then just move them through the scanner and then sleeve them, and you don't have to worry too much because they've already got some damage. So yeah, I would just run as many cards as possible through the thing, maybe look it up online. I've heard of people shaving down the rollers, sanding off a certain other part, cutting stuff, breaking stuff off, taking out certain wheels. I haven't modified mine in any way. It runs fine, but they're not all perfect. It could be a 1 millimeter, even less, a 0.1 millimeter difference in size of something that could touch the cards. So I'm not too sure. TJ Colts. You are the LeBron. You are the LeBron of Ask Steve. Nice. Okay. I noticed through your vlogs, thought it was super interesting that none of the stores in Japan seem to have any negotiation. Is this a cultural thing in Japan, or most likely just as a language barrier? I'm in the US and sports card CCG shops are always willing to wheel and deal, and usually be somewhat flexible. I think, there's a bunch of other extra stuff here, but that's a pretty good question. So the thing is, in Japan, they're just like businesses. You can't go into a supermarket and the people working at the supermarket generally aren't the ones that are owning it. If it's a big chain, and you can't go to the $5 item on the shelf, yo, can I get this for $4? Because they're all just workers, and none of those people have that authority. Pretty much same for Japan. Sorry, pretty much same for Japan. If you walk into a larger chain and there's 10, 20, 30 employees, then none of them really have that authority to give you a deal or give you a lower price because they just can't. Even if they wanted to, they can't. And the card stores in Japan honestly don't really mark cards up that much. Sorry, this throat's starting to kill me. They don't really mark cards up that much. They put 10, 15, 20% margins on, and it's quite low in my opinion for the amount of work and everything that goes in, the overheads, the rent and everything. So they run on very small margins and hopefully they sell really fast. Kind of like this. They don't have to grade them. They can just churn through them. People trade them in. They sell them the same day. So, I don't really know. I think in the US, bartering and trying to be the big man and be like, yo, you got it for 100, do it for 80. It last sold for 90 minus eBay fees. It's like a huge mess around. In Australia, we don't really have that kind of culture. You'll find it, but I sell at a local game store as well. People just go in, buy the cards for the price they're at. If someone's like, there's 3 cards here for $100, could I do them for 90? If I'm there or my guy's there, I don't think, generally, yeah, but like it's really hard. And even online, I used to never really use best offer for the past like 4 years. It was, a little bit easier to sell graded cards. But now as I'm building like a bigger inventory, like I got full, I'm going to have probably 6,000-7,000 listings by the end of the year, hopefully. I can't follow the market price of every single card. Things are going to go up, things are going to go down. So, I listed a certain price, I throw best offer on. Sometimes I have a card for 100, someone offers me 90, I go check it up. I go look at it and be like, oh, okay, I'm the lowest listing at 100, sorry. Reply with a $100 counter offer or like a $95 counter offer. Be like, look, type in the thing, I'm the lowest listing, I'm sorry. Something like that. I don't really try to deal with people too much that just try to get the lowest price, because it's quite annoying. But yeah, I think in the US it's crazy. You go to the sports card shows or the trading card shows, and the card's at 150, but the seller only actually wants 120. So when you go to them, you're like, you do it for 120, and they're like, yeah. There's a lot of, it's like they're pricing in the eBay fee, and then they take away the fee when you offer them. It's weird. If I ever go to a show, I'll probably bring my cards and just price them at what I want to sell them at. And it'd be very unlikely for me to do deals or anything unless the person's really nice or they're buying a lot of stuff. So yeah. In Japan, I'll go back to the original question. In Japan, I found with some stores where you could talk to the store owner, store manager on more expensive and more rare cards, that they're willing to do a little bit of a deal. So, like one Magi usually have like a store manager at each one that I found, or Magi. I just made a noise when I drank that. That's the one with the purple hat lady, and she's like a little witch. And a year ago or a year and a half ago, when I bought my Pokemon Snap Charmander, and somewhere in the safe, that card was listed at 8.5 million yen. I didn't want to pay 8.5 million yen. That's a lot of money. I actually offered them 6 million yen. And that's a pretty extreme lowball. I didn't expect them to like accept or even listen to me. But they have an Instagram. I reached out, 6 million yen. They're like, yeah, all right. And then later that day, my middleman went down there and bought it, 6 million yen. Still a lot of money. That card, that was around 38,000 US at the time. That card sold 3 or 4 times now for 75, 80,000. Maybe I got a good deal, maybe I didn't. But the more expensive the card, and then some card stores which employees a little bit more, like, you can tell when someone is like a bigger deal. And then some card stores have cards where they just have hundreds of them. If you can somehow communicate, like, can I buy all of these for like 100 yen less? Sometimes they do it, but generally, if you're in Japan, find the stores, buy them at the price the sticker's at. Don't waste your time trying to ask for a lower deal. Yeah. I hope that answers the question. Catch 'em all collectibles. This isn't a question. I actually just added this in. It was a pretty good statement. Most people worried about eBay fees are worried about the customs stuff, government stuff on top of that. And, I agree. That is like, I have my Instagram set up only. I made an Instagram for my eBay account only so people can message me off eBay. Because there are some buyers from Europe, Canada, some states in the US, they have really high taxes. Some places in China, Japan has it sometimes. And they charge, someone buys like $100 worth of stuff, and then you see the order and it's like $125 plus shipping. Like, they're paying 25% extra in tax. A lot of Europe is really bad. So I really try to get European buyers like to come to me on Instagram so they don't get that forced tax, and then I mark it down for them so they don't have to pay it. Because I like keeping the money spent on Pokemon cards inside the hobby. And now this might sound, a little bit silly, but when you got, let's say the person has $100 order, they're from the UK or they're from Europe and they pay $100, plus I think my shipping for Europe is $18. So plus $18 in shipping, and then they pay like $30 in tax. Jesus. It's really bad. So $100 worth of cards they bought from me turns into $148 from them. If they come to me off eBay and they message me, things on my website will be listed 10 to 15% lower than eBay. So the price now will be, we'll just put 90, and the shipping is 16 or 15. I can't remember how much it is, to be honest, but I think it's $15 or $18 on my website as well. It's been a while since I've checked it. But then there's no forced customs from eBay, and it's tax fraud, whatever. I don't give a fuck. Honestly, who cares? There's like, I'm trying to save collectors money. That's all I really care about. This cost them, $105. So they're getting, and what was this? This was like $148. So yeah, there's a pretty big difference. They saved like $43. And that $43, I mean, they have to pay the shipping as well, but they're only losing $15 here, but here they're losing $48. And that $48 doesn't go to anyone. So that's $150 almost spent on Pokemon, but 148 of that doesn't actually go to the seller. And then it's $100, and I only get 85 or 90 if I'm selling it on eBay. So he spends $148 and then I get 90. There's a $58 difference that's just been lost of nothing. And it just feels terrible for me personally, because it's just like I'm trying to keep the money inside the trading card thing, so then things can go round and round. Because if he pays $150 and then I only get 90, I can only go and spend $90 on more cards. And that like, there's like it kind of offsets the equilibrium of money spent. Because when I go and spend $90 with someone else, I'm trying to make sure that I get the like lower fees, and I dodge like middleman percentages and all this other stuff. I'm trying to keep that $90 to be as close to $90 as possible. People buy off you privately on Instagram or through a website, not on eBay. And now I'm not promoting off eBay sales. It's more just the forced tax for people that have it on eBay. I love eBay. I promote everyone to make an eBay store. eBay, if you're watching this, please don't cancel my account because I love eBay. I've been on eBay for 10 years. eBay's changed my life. I will implore everyone in the world to make an eBay store. It will be life-changing, and you will learn many things that you never thought you could ever do. But this part just really irks me. When they spend 148, but they only get, $100 in card value, and I only get $90, there's a lot of disconnect there, in my opinion. And I think that's why buying cards at shows, buying cards in person is really, and even when I go to Japan, there's no fees. I'm literally just buying them from the stores, and some stores even have tax-free. You just get 10% off. Fly back to Australia, you tell them you got $10,000 worth of Pokemon cards, and the guy's just like, yeah, me too, buddy, and then he just lets you through. So that's the funny stuff. So it's I don't know. I think that's why it's becoming more popular to buy stuff in person, because your money goes a lot further. Because this guy, he spends $150 almost, and he's at $100 in value. You buy something in person for $150. Well, at least you know the item you got. You bought it for $150. Might not be worth $150 because it's a physical item at a store, but I mean, I hope. I mean, you didn't ask a question, Dan, but that's my thought on that one. Bowser Houdini. Dude, you would make a great stand-up comedian. You have the personality for it. It's not even a question. I put that in. I must have thought that was funny. Sorry, I printed these last night. I was going to do this last night, but I kept coughing. My throat was really bad, but now I'm better. I mean, maybe a good stand-up comedian. I'd probably be a better Pokemon card seller than comedian, to be honest. Just Jack 21. If you've reached your goals in cards, would you consider something in charity? That's a crazy question. Or like a charity, even to have an impact on a wider cause. You could incorporate that into the card business somehow too. That's a lot to break down. I'm not going to go and... Wow, that's... Charities I don't really know much about, to be honest. And a lot of like the news and stuff I know about charities, like people donate money to charities, and then the money donated doesn't really be like, the same amount, and it's actually much less in some cases. and stuff like that. I would never, even if I reach my goals in cards, which sometimes, some days I wake up and I feel like I have, I probably wouldn't consider working in charity, but I guess you could try and reverse it and be like, making this YouTube channel is kind of like my version of my own charity. Yes, I'm getting paid by YouTube to do the videos when people click on them. And yes, people come to me from like YouTube and buy from my store, which is also amazing. But I never really intended for any of that to happen. But I guess my charity would be the YouTube channel, would be the open book, and the always being able to kind of message me and get my thoughts on stuff, because I've been doing this for a long time. I've made a lot of money. I've lost a lot of money. I've sold lots of stuff. I've done lots of things that maybe people haven't done and they need advice on it. That is my kind of charity. I guess, how do I answer this? Having more positive interactions in the world, to me, is a net benefit for the world. I'm not going to say I'm a positive person or even the best person ever. Actually, usually, most of the time, I'm quite an arsehole, to be honest. But that's just how I am. It doesn't mean I don't like helping people, but I can still be an arsehole if something clicks, something like that. I think everyone has those days. I'm not going to say I'm the best person, but yeah, I can imagine this is what I'm doing. That's probably why I'm trying to make the Discord, stuff like that, just little things. And you see all these people on YouTube. You see Dan, Gotta Catch 'Em All Collectibles, Trainer Jai, one of my friends, Coop Collection. I mean, that guy's a beast. He had like 1,000 subs and now he's got 70,000 because he did shorts and they went crazy. They're all kind of spreading that little bit of positivity. And the little bit's kind of, if we all do like a little bit and kind of raise the floor of like the amount of happiness and positivity and whatever. I'm not trying to be like a preacher or whatever, but I've done a lot of, I wouldn't say I've done bad things, but I've said a lot of things to people that maybe regret. I've been rude to many people that we'd try to do a deal and they're quite rude, so I'm rude to them back. Like, I'm not perfect. It's when money is involved, it's actually really hard in this space because there's so much money involved and everyone's looking out for themselves. It's really hard to be so super nice and super what's the word? Reciprocative? Is that a word? I don't even know. I should read a dictionary. Nice to everyone. You can't be nice to everyone. That's basically what I'm saying. But yeah, I feel like I have reached my goal in cards. I reached my goal probably a long time ago. I never expected myself to be here. I mean, I live, to me personally, I live the perfect life for me. And if I can keep life the same for the next forever until I die, I will die very happy. Because right now, my life to me is pretty much perfect. So for me, maybe other people don't think it's perfect, but for me, I've reached my goals and it's perfect in this situation. I love everything about waking up and doing stuff. So this YouTube channel is my charity. And if that's an explanation of why some people wonder why I do this and get up and talk for hours and hours and maybe the video gets me like $20, $30, this is why. It's not really for the $30, but that pays for my lunch. It's pretty cool. I make a video and you guys pay for my lunch. But help like 30 people's questions and then 1,000 people watch it and they get a little bit from each information, and then maybe 10% of those people give a little bit of information to someone else, and it spreads like wildfire. The Uber oh, the coughs are starting. I'm sorry. I'm not going to edit them out because there's going to be so many. I apologize. The Uber Dooba Doo. Could you show us the best way to search on eBay/other sites, even from just a collection point of view? eBay is full of so many examples of reverse hollow 151 SV set, 099, 599, and it's impossible to find anything decent. I hope it makes sense. Yeah, it's really hard to search in every website. If you're doing like, you just want to buy like a large amount of cards because there's millions of listings. So I think the first thing, before I can't really show you, but the first thing you should do is decide exactly what you want. And then when you start narrowing down what you want, let's say you want one card, or let's say you want a set of cards, let's say you want like one complete set, you can just type that in, find the price points, put it into other websites, TCG Player, whatever, put it into the, if you're into Japanese cards, there's Japanese websites, and try to average out of seeing what the best condition and the best price and all this other stuff. Also, you can kind of bookmark a lot of people that you've had positive experiences with on TCG Player, some stores, eBay, some stores. This is going to get worse. And Instagram, some stores that sell through there. You're just trying to bookmark them and keep in mind, if you have a good positive experience with them, sometimes it's better to buy from them rather than waste an hour searching for the best thing. Yeah, it's hard to give you the best way to search if I don't know what I'm searching for, but yeah, it gets really hard. Sometimes, you know, on eBay you have like, if you look it up online, there's like exact wordings. You can search like exact wordings and it won't just give you random recommended listings also. So yeah. And also in general, if you're looking for cards, and I don't know if I've said this before, but I really like to look at new listed cards. I don't really like to search for cards and then just look what's out there. I generally look for the newest listing first, because in my mind, for some reason, I think that the newest listing might be the best deal because no one's had a chance to buy it yet. So I hope that makes sense. Alexander 4520. When you decide to buy a single card, how do you know if it will be worth buying? Do you already have a % profit as a target before choosing whether to buy or not? Thanks. Yeah. So I'm going to write some stuff down. I need some water really bad. This might be my worst Ask Steve yet because I'm just coughing nonstop. So when you decide to buy a single card, all right, let's just type buying. Type? What's wrong with me? Buying. So when you want to buy a card, when you see the card, you want to buy something. First of all, first thing you want to do is make sure you know the price. You really want to know the price of the item that you're looking at buying. If you see something that's $100, you need to know before you spend the $100, is this item actually worth $100? Now, nothing inside cards is generally, you know, exact. Some cards are $100 and then maybe they're $90 with a little bit of edgeware, $80 with a little bit more edgeware, $60 with a crease. So you got to look at a range. You got to look at the card and assess the price, and you got to assess the condition. So that's two things. You find the price, and then you got to assess the condition of the card. And then you have to use your own knowledge. Now, I don't know whether you're buying for a collection or whether you're buying to resell. So, apologies. I don't know whether you're buying or buying to resell because, yeah, you don't say it. But I'll just address both, I guess. With the price, you got the condition. And when you finally think you're happy to do that. And when I say price, I meant listed price. So we can't always buy things for what they sell for. You know, in the best world, we probably could, but unfortunately, the items that are sold, and we can't buy them. So maybe some item, someone sells it for a little bit too little and sells really fast, and we can't replicate that price again. But when I look at the card price, I look at the listed cards. So I look at what the lowest listing that matches the card that I'm buying. Next, assess the condition, and then I look at the sale price. Like, okay, what does this actually sell for? Let's get some realistic data. Adjust it a little bit in your mind, because if it's a $50 card and then someone auctions it and they sell for $38, and then there's someone that sells it from a random country, you know, in Europe somewhere on eBay, they generally sometimes get lower sales because there's less of a market, and they sell for $25. It might not be a $25 card if the lowest listing's $50. It's just you got to adjust so many parameters in your head of who the seller is, where it comes from. Oh my God. This is horrible. Coughing, hiccuping, it's non-stop. Sorry. Who the seller is, where it comes from, the condition of the card, the price of the card, how it was run. If it was a one-day auction, it can't really be that like set in stone of a price, because maybe someone only logs onto eBay once a week in a one-day auction. They're probably not going to get it. So how long was the auction? Was it buy it now? All these other things. How much was the shipping? Sometimes people sell a card for $50 plus $10 shipping, and the other guy has for $60 with free shipping. But when it goes in the sales thing, if someone sells this for $60, it's like, oh, that's a $60 card. But, you know, did it have free shipping? Because then it's actually the seller is selling it for like $55, $54 because they had to pay for their own shipping. Even though the buyer paid $60, they would have paid like $50 plus shipping regardless. So there's a lot of things you got to think about. In my advantage, I've sold so many cards. I have a general idea of what things sell for. I know if I'm selling from the lowest to the low, like common, uncommon cards, old Japanese cards, I can sell them on eBay for $1, $2, you know, over time very slowly. So I'm pretty comfortable at buying those in a little bit larger amounts for 10, 20 cents each, depending on the set, series, condition, if there's other cards added in, rares, holos, there's lots of different things. And then you try to break it down into series and then maybe even type. You know, I probably generally pay a little bit more for Charizard cards. I pay a little bit more for Pikachu cards. I pay more for promo cards because they're generally more popular and they're easier to sell. So, you know, if a card is like $2 and it sells not very often, I probably won't pay much for it, even if it comes in like a big bulk thing. It might even only be 1 cent. It might even be 5 cents. But if a card's like $150 and I see it for like 120, I'd probably buy that. There's a margin to be made there. So, and also the final thing that I always talk about, right here, actually I got a few more points to come across. The break-even price. A lot of everything that I try to buy, everything. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what I buy. When it comes to stuff that I want to sell, I have to make sure, like every single one of these graded cards. Let me see. Oh, look, that's my Latios Gold Star. You know, it's not a very good example. Look how pretty that is. Every single one of those cards, before I buy them and then I'm actually submitting them, I need to make sure, okay, these cards, I bought it for 20. I'm going to grade it for 30. It costs $50 to me. Am I going to be able to sell this at a minimum for $50? That's, you know, great singles plus grading. And, you know, if I buy a card for $5, even if it's listed at 7, 8, 9, 10, the sales volume around 6, 7, I know it's small numbers, but little numbers can add up to big numbers eventually. I want to make sure if I buy something for 5, I can sell it for 5 eventually. And there's another thing that even goes even further that not many people think about. And this is pretty, you know, you got to be pretty experienced and advanced in this area to actually take advantage of this. But there's, what is it called? I'm just going to put interest rates. Interest. So depending on how long it takes cards to sell, like I mentioned with my graded cards, I have not listed any graded card since September of 2023. And that is around 8 months ago. So every card in here, apart from these ones, because they're not listed for sale yet, I've had for 8 months. And now we talked about earlier where I have probably 110. This is just grading fees, not even the listed price or how much they're worth. Just grading fees, like literal grading fees, 110,000. You could put that in a savings account, and right now interest rates are quite high. You get 5%. Or you can put it into your home loan account, and then you can save on interest and offset the loan, like I do with all my spare cash. I put it in my offset account to offset the loan, and then you can actually gain like 7, 8%. And I know it's small amounts and it's 5% and it doesn't mean much, but on $100,000, that's $5,000. So you have to have a general in mind. If it takes me 2 years to sell a card and I spend $100 on it, well, you know, it's a little bit, but I probably could have got $1 or $2 over time from that $100 rather than buying it and selling it in 2 years at break-even prices. It gets a lot easier when you're grading a lot of cards. You get a lot of big 10s and you can make 1,000. I got a Shining Mew PSA 10. I bought that for 500. Probably sell that for 4,000. You know, that's huge. You can't get that with interest accounts, right? But that's risk involved and everything like that. So yeah, that's another thing you got to think about when you get really, really big. But I hope I explained good enough. How do you know whether cards worth buying? I'm actually going to mark that down too and make a separate video on that one eventually. That is a great question. Thank you. What was your name? Alexander4520. You're a beast. All right. How many pages is there? Oh, here we go. Ross Cleghorn, 1979. What's going on? Hey, Steve. Love listening to these videos when I get home from work and start browsing, packing, and sorting cards. It's good to see, man. You go to work, working on your stuff when you get home. I did that for around 6, 7 years. Mad respect for you. It's not easy. It's not easy to stay motivated once you get home from actually a full day's worth of work. So I'm proud of you. My question is, when pricing items on eBay, I currently match the lowest buy now in order to get a sale. I have tried pricing slightly above, but I find it takes quite a while to sell, and I become impatient it won't sell. What sort of pricing strategies do you use and why? So, you know, at the benefit of myself, it probably wouldn't be a good idea to say exactly how I do absolutely everything. But you asked a nice question. You seem like a nice guy, so I'm going to do it. So when I list a card, obviously, let's just use $100. Or maybe we use $200 because $100 is quite low. We use $200. If the lowest listing is 200, I'm going to put it on my website for probably either $180 to $200. I never really enjoy being the lowest price because the lowest price always sells, and then eventually I'll be the lowest price. At least that's how I think. But I'm going to list it on my website for $180. So, I'll put web. Not everyone has access to a website, but just imagine you're selling this privately. 180. Yeah, 180 is pretty good. Oh, do I use 180? You know what? I'm just going to use 200. I'm just going to use 200 for the thing. I'm going to put it at $200 on my website. This goes onto eBay for $215. It's a lot easier to use whole numbers, so my brain doesn't have to think so much. It goes onto eBay for $215. Look how terrible this writing is. So I've added best offer. I have best offer. I'm higher than the lowest listing. After a while, every month, every few months, not every few months, but I generally like to keep my store with a constant sale running because sales really push your advertisements amount without having to pay promoted fees, even though you're paying sales fees. So in general, my advice is always to, if you got a $100 item, you put it up for $100 and put a 10% discount. If the lowest listing is $90, that'll look a lot more attractive to buyers than a card that's listed at $90, because then you don't have any wiggle room to put it on sale. Otherwise, and then you're really undercutting. So that's what I try to do. And then I use eBay's. I put a sale on. Sale. Usually 5 to 10% running in my stores. Now this is just for my graded card store, by the way. It's not for single cards. And then 5 to 10% sale. So the item is still higher on the eBay than the website, even at 10% off. Is it? Oh my god, that number's wrong. Sorry. Brain really is not working. At 15%, that would be... No, what the... What a day. Should I even put this video up? I'm so sorry. So, a $200 item. Wait, is that... Am I going crazy? 10%, $20, 5... No, it is $230. It is $230. Oh man, this is embarrassing. I shouldn't be a teacher. I can't even do basic math. $200 item goes on to eBay for $230, raised by 15%. I try to put it on sale, 5 to 10%. 10% is on the higher end. 5% constant sales pretty good because you get the red icon and it pushes it more out advertising wise. And instead of the buyer paying, $200 and then you pay a 5% promoted fee, buyer pays a little bit less and they just pay the 5% less and they pay the amount that you would get normally even without promotions. Obviously you want to use sales and promotions as you see fit together, but this is what I'm talking about. So at 10%, we'll just use that. It'll go down to 207. God, that's terrible. So 10% goes down to 207. Now, as you can see here, this number here is still, lower. It's still higher than I have on my website. So if someone is a little bit more advanced, they can just find my description, see that I have a website, find my Instagram, see that I have a website, and they can buy it for cheaper here. This also goes back to the customs thing and everything like that. Buying international benefits them way more here than here. If someone uses best offer and offers me at 207, my card's already on sale. I'll go and look up. If someone else has their card listed for 200, maybe I'll just counter at 200. If someone else has their card listed at 210 and I'm at 27, I'll write 207. I'm the lowest. Now, I talked about this a bit earlier, but it's a little bit easier if I do it like this. Look at this writing. I need to go to school. I hope that helps. I'm pretty sure that's all you asked. Ross Cleghorn. Yeah. And what I have done in the past, when I really was much lower on capital, because this way, it really only benefits the people who really don't need money that much. I don't need money that much anymore. Now, I'm going to say it's going to be cocky. It's going to sound like I'm the best, but I don't need as much money as I used to. I don't spend my accounts down to zero anymore. I don't use credit cards. I don't use loans anymore. I'd used those things many, many times in the past, but I have enough cash flow to keep me going for pretty much anything. So I don't need to fire sell as much, and that's why you see my prices on eBay. A lot of them are a lot higher than people I'm willing to wait. I'm willing to use best offer, and eventually I'm just going to mark it down and sell it. As long as I can sell it within like the interest period where I would make the same amount of money having the thing, but that's too advanced. Don't worry about that. So, what was I about to write? I think my brain just lapsed. You can also use auctions to sell your items. And, I have a whole video on auction versus buy it now. I highly suggest watching that one. I explain it in much better detail than I can right now. It's going to take a long time. But if you paid $20 for the item and you put it on auction, or if it's a graded card, whatever you paid, just start the item at the sale amount. If someone's lowest price is $200, just start your auction at $180. It's a small scale thing. You can't do it with hundreds of cards. It takes a lot of effort and a lot of time to do that. But if you only got a few cards, you can throw them on auction and just drop the price down a little bit. Most people that have eBay stores, auctions are completely free. Use them and abuse them. I have sold thousands of cards on auction starting at $40, $50 because I don't want my cards to go 99 cents and then they just sell for like 15 to 20 because only one person was interested or two people interested. I want to start them at $40. So even if I get one person interested, they still pay 40. That's when I lose money, because obviously you can't just lose money all the time. Well, look at this. Where's this hair? Let me fix this. I should get a haircut eventually too. All right. Oh, hope you enjoyed that answer. Trainer Sin collects. Thanks, Steve. What you said made sense to me. It comes down to embracing the challenge, level up, and keep getting better and repeat. Love the LeBron comparison. That's my favorite player. I think I put this in because you said LeBron. He's awesome. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's just how it is, right? Like no one gets, it's a saying that I like to say quite a lot. Look at this hair. What is wrong with me? It's called luck versus skill. And I talk about this all the time with people that I'm around. And, luck beats skill, in my opinion, all the time. People that get lucky, you can be the best reseller in the world. You could be whatever. It doesn't matter how much money you have. Luck generally beats you out 9 times out of 10. 99 times out of 100, actually. Because whether you find something that someone's listed for, you think is way too low, whether you get a really high grade on a card and it's like an iffy, really close between 9 and 10, and the price difference is in the hundreds, if not thousands, it's two things of luck. When I send an item in the mail and it actually gets delivered to the person, that is luck, because things get lost all the time, all around the world. Problems happen. So just avoiding so many things. Like the person that has more luck generally comes ahead. Now, how do you influence the luck? Well, you just have to keep doing the thing every day. It's there's a quote I saw somewhere. Oh, what did the person say? It's something about like going outside and finding a shooting star, and they're quite rare to find. But the person that goes out every night and stares out the night for a few hours and just hangs out, relaxes, and enjoys it, they have a higher chance to see the shooting star. Now, the person that just goes out one time a month and then looks up and there's a shooting star that comes across, they're lucky. But the person who does stuff more often, you can influence your own luck by being involved. I'm involved in so many different people's lives, and they're involved in my life. We're together. I have friends that have done things to me that would cost me tens of thousands. I have friends who have bought stuff from me and just got me out of a pinch where I need a little bit more cash flow. And that's pretty lucky to have that. And now I influence the luck just by being a normal person and working at myself every day. It sounds really dumb, but when you think about it, of how lucky things actually can be when you work at them actively. But if you just sit there and you just do nothing all day and you list your stuff once a week, if you were trying to work on a store, you wake up, instead of doing a little bit more work or checking cards, sorry, or looking, oh my God. Looking for stuff to buy, you can. I'm leaving all this coughs in so you guys can see how sick I am. So I have an excuse for not making videos. If you're not looking for stuff to buy, you're not listing cards, you really can't read. Because sometimes you can list something, someone sees it and newly listed, they just buy it. It doesn't matter if you have the lowest price or not. I've had people buy items off me for $500 and they've been listed by other people for $300. They just bought mine. I don't know why. It's lucky, but I put the effort in. I put the price in. I put all the work in, made sure everything's listed. I got all these on the shelf here, and I'm losing money every day. I've paid, there's like 1,000 cards there. I've paid like 10, what is that? I've paid like $30,000 in grading fees almost for all this, and it's just sitting there unlisted. It's terrible. I haven't influenced any luck because I haven't even tried. maybe there's people that are looking for those cards right now. I could have listed them and sold them. And the one buyer looking for the card, the one buyer every 6 months, they just buy it off someone else tomorrow and I don't have my card listed. And then I list it for 6 months. I missed the chance at luck. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I hope that helps. I mean, you didn't actually ask a question, Trainer Sin, but I don't really know. It honestly feels like this glass of water is like infinite. Oh, we got a few questions left. How many have we got? Okay, let's smash through these. I'll do it. Hey Steve, love your stuff. My question is regarding pricing on an eBay store. Let me read this for a second. For example, say you list a card that's currently worth $500 and something happens that pushes the value down. How do you keep track? How often are you checking changing prices? And do you leave the option of a best offer to counteract that? Hope the question makes sense. Basically curious how when you ensure you remain competitive, don't sell things too cheap. That's pretty much, I explained that in pretty good detail before. But, you know, using sales, using best offer. I sold the card today or yesterday for $500 on my eBay store that the guy liked my card more than the other cards that were listed. He thought it was in better condition as a PSA 10. That can happen. And the other prices, other cards were listed at $440 and mine was listed for $1,000 because it's part of my collection and I like the card. So I listed a little bit higher and I'll just wait for the perfect buyer. And they offered me $440. I mean, they offered me $500 and the lowest listing was actually $440, but they liked the condition of mine more than that. They explained that in the message and I understood and I was like, oh, that's pretty reasonable. I accepted the offer. It's that's not the best way to sell things, but these things can happen if you just kind of have things up as like a showcase and the perfect buyer comes along. Now, with the stuff in my single store, this probably addresses this question a lot better. My whole thing of singles is to list them for generally, you know, a decent amount more than what I pay for them. Use sales to put that down. Try to sell things, and eventually, when I'm out of singles and I don't feel like listing cards anymore, in a few years probably, I will just, for me, this doesn't really benefit too many, you know, people that need money straight away, but I addressed those things earlier. To me, I'm just going to do 10% sale next week, 20% sale, 25%, and then eventually you'll see my stores on 50%, 60%, 70% sales. That's how I'm going to remain competitive if prices go down. But I think a lot of people should probably every 6 months or the last 12 months, I've done it 3 times. I've gone through my whole store. And because I do things in waves, like I just got 1,000 cards back. I have another 110 coming back from PSA. After I list all these, I won't be able to, you know, I won't have any more cards until like 2 or 3 months. I'll dig through some more things, make some more PSA submissions, and send them all out. If this makes sense, in 3 months' time, before that next batch comes back, I'll try to, you know, lower the prices of the previous batch. So I sort it by like, it's a lot easier on my website than eBay, but I sort the items by when I listed them and the most recent listings, and I'll adjust all those prices down. Obviously, if something doesn't sell in 3 months, it's probably not at the perfect price point, but I'll adjust it down a little bit. I'll, you know, use sales to influence the prices and stuff like that. It's really, it can get quite rough sometimes when you're trying to check prices every day and your card's at 100, someone else puts theirs at 95, so then you put yours at 92, some other new person puts theirs at 89, and then you go down to 85, and someone else goes, it's really hard to just manage the whole thing across tens of thousands of listings. So that's how I do it. It's, yeah, best offer also is a really good way to counteract that. And I'm trying to think of more ways that you can help you. Obviously, having like good titles, good photos, good descriptions, good seller rating, good postage prices, making sure that you have Instagram as an option for people to message you to get a better deal. All those things are going to help you in ways that you probably wouldn't be able to think. So, yeah, I hope a good question. Oh, DGLB9ZD. That's your name. I didn't read that. I'm sorry. But thank you. All right, new question. MTS8842. How many hours do you think you work a day, week on your business, not including YouTube? So I'm not going to lie to you. Recently, I've been quite, I wouldn't say lazy. I think content is probably the word you're looking for. I've been happy generally getting up and doing maybe 5-6 hours a day of work. In the past, when I'm in a certain mood, I'm not sure if you guys realize, but I mean, I've never been tested, but I'm pretty sure I have ADHD, and I have I can pay attention to things for a very long time. That's why I love cards, because I can just do the same thing for hours and hours and hours and really enjoy it. But also, it makes it really bad where I just can't enjoy something. So right now I'm going through a phase where I can't enjoy things as much, so I can't just sit there and work. So I'll generally wake up. First thing I'll do is maybe an hour, look at all the messages, look at all the offers, pack all the orders, get everything ready, organize my desk, clean my things like on the shelf here, make sure I've got enough bubble wrap, check all this stuff, make some boxes, do all like the housekeeping kind of things. Gets to the midday, get out, go to the post office, do my rest of my daily chore stuff, and then a few hours later, look for cards to buy, look online, maybe in the morning I look for some cards to buy, look at some sale prices, another hour or two. And then, 7, 8, 9 p.m., I'm a night owl, so I really like to stay up late and then start really getting into the grind of work when it gets nice and cold. And then you'll see me sorting cards, condition checking, preparing stuff to grade, scanning cards for the images. All those things go there. Lately, I've really been doing only 6 hours, and that's not enough, to be honest. I'm not going to say you need to work 50 hours a day, but you got 24, and you probably got 15 of them that are pretty usable, because you have to eat. Sorry, you got to eat. You got to go to the toilet. You got to sleep. That's pretty much it. Is anything else important? I don't think so. So out of the 24, you take away 9, you got 15 hours a day. In the past, I've probably worked 15 hours a day for months on end sometimes, including when I was working full time. I would work 10 hours, come home, do 6 hours Pokemon, go to sleep, wake up 5 a.m., 3 p.m., get home, 6 hours Pokemon, 9, 10 p.m., play an hour or two of video games, wake up, slam energy drinks, get through the day. I was a lot younger, it was a lot doable. But these days, because my luck has been influenced so much, and I've told you I'm pretty content and happy with my life, I'm just doing a little bit day at a time. Now, I can't do nothing because bills, cost of living, everything, but I don't need to do as much because it's a lot easier to make larger amounts of money when you have larger amounts of money to start off with, and that's what I have now. So I hope that makes sense. But I think for the general sake, if you are not working, not in school, young, and maybe living with your parents or something, there's not much excuse not to do 10 or 11 hours. Or maybe you do 5 hours and you try and find a part-time job where you can also do 5 hours. Because you will be very surprised what you can achieve when you spend 10 hours a day working towards it. I think I'm losing my voice. I'm all out of water. Cameron Wall, how's it going? Hi, Steve. Please rank the pie fillings in the order of preference. Standard. So standard would be a minced beef pie, in my opinion. A steak pie. A kidney pie. Is that a different type of... I never heard of a kidney pie. Pepper and curry. So my favorite pie is beef and mushroom. Mince and mushroom. That's my favorite pie. After that, I'll have a bacon and cheese pie with bacon and cheese topping and on the crust. You didn't mention that, but with just normal mince inside. That's my second favorite. But then I'll have, you can get a steak and mushroom pie. They're absolutely fucking delicious. You can't eat those generally when you're just out and about. You can't walk around and eat a steak and mushroom pie because the filling, there's so much. You kind of need to be sitting down, eat it, and then also use a fork at the same time. Kidney pie, I'm not sure what that is. And a pepper pie, they're also great and really delicious. Pepper pies are great in winter when you want a little bit more spiciness. And curry pies don't really do it for me. And it's not because they're bad. I just prefer to eat the ones that I like. So I hope that helps. I really... Fuck me. All right. What a question. Heatwave TCG. Hey, Steve, my boy, how's it going? Does your Epson scanner... So that's my Epson scanner for my graded cards. Get dirty as hell on the inside, like mine does. I do 50 scans, and inside the thing leaves glass streaks all over the place. I'm fed up. How do I eradicate this once and for all? P.S. The blogs are great, man. Good job, and thanks for the wonderful content. Oh, thanks for that. All right. Thanks for watching the things and paying for my lunch each day. My YouTube gets me around $10 on average each day. My lunch costs me $7.50 for a pie and a donut. So I'm very happy. And as you can see, I kind of look like I've been eating a pie and a donut every day. Oh, and I'm probably going to die soon because of it. All right. So honestly, my Epson scanner, I have the V370 or the V37. I've had it for 5 years. It sits there on my desk all day. I push it behind my monitors when I'm not using it and I pull it out. I have 5 cats. They walk on the desk. They walk on the scanner. I have no problems. I just wipe it down after I'm done with it. I use what might help you is the dust. It is like a scanning software that can help you with dust removal. That's a setting. I use that and it gets rid of all little minuscule things. Sometimes it will remove the eye from the Pokemon, the little dot in Psyduck. It happens a lot, and Magikarp, but it's pretty funny when that happens. And yeah, try to use dust removal, a part of your scanning software. Otherwise, I have no idea. Blower things, glass cleaning, God, I don't know. If maybe choosing a different place on the scanner to scan until you run out of places, or you can just use the PSA scans. If you're using single card scans, I don't know, maybe just go back to using your phone because yeah, it's rough. Gaknak, can you give me a ton of money because you are rich and famous? Well, because you lied, I'm not famous. I don't think I'm rich, but I definitely have more. I'm 30, so, when I was younger, I had probably more money than most people at 25, 26, or maybe not, maybe 27, 28, I probably had more. But now I'm getting 30, this year I'm 31, I probably won't really be compared to those because then they start getting their real full-time jobs and real money. I wouldn't be classified as rich compared to those, but yeah. So because you lied 2 times, I'm not giving you any money. How did the stores feel about you checking eBay sold in store? Like, do they instantly give the foreigner look? Oh, you're talking about shopping in Japan. It's from your average player 0. Honestly, man, nah. As long as you don't check the card and then check eBay at the same time while they're standing in front of you, sorry, you're gonna be fine. Check the card you want to buy first, and then you can ask them to put it back. Check the eBay solds afterwards, or just check it before you ask them to look at it. They're not going to give you the foreigner look, man. I'm in stores when I was there. I was in stores 10 hours a day. There's Japanese people looking on, Japanese sites. So I could see their phones. They're checking the prices. They're doing it. Everyone does it. It's fine. Just don't be rude about it. Like I see some people. I was in one store. Actually, I'll talk about this story after this next question. No, the next question is a really long one. Talk about it now. I was in a store and there was these 2 UK guys. They were just being so loud and they were just being so rude. They would be like 100,000 yen. That's bullshit price. That's barely 700 on eBay, like dollars or whatever. And it's just like, oh, can you guys be any more insufferable? Like, can you just be normal human beings? But yeah, it wasn't everyone, but that was probably only one encounter that I saw. And when I address, some of the store people, Japanese people are very polite and they're not going to talk bad about anyone. But you can tell human tendencies. They're just kind of just what are you guys doing? Because a lot of them speak English and Japanese, especially in Tokyo. So just try your best to fit in, be a ghost, check your solds, and then ask to look at the cards. Okay, last question. Wow, this has been long. Look at this hair. I gotta get a haircut. This is terrible. How long have we gone so far? 1 hour and 14 minutes. I smashed through these. All right. Hi, Steve. Do you see the prices of Japanese Pokemon TCG dropping? From what I've seen, it has dropped a lot. Yeah, man. I think a lot of cards and prices in general are in the whole space kind of coming down. Recently, I think English modern cards like Sword and Shield have been going up recently. Kind of just like the Japanese cards went up all of a sudden. Who knows if that will stick, but Japanese items, honestly, it feels like, depending on what it is and how it is obtained and how hard it is to obtain, anything like X, Y, and before, I can't really imagine changing in price that much for single cards or boxes. I don't think you'll see people dumping that stuff in because it's not infinite. It's very finite. Sun and Moon, there's a little bit more supply, not on the boxes, but on the single cards. Obviously, some of the alt arts are very expensive still, but Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet, I personally aren't going to go out there and buy 200 copies of a 300 yen art rare or a 1,000 yen secret rare or a 5,000 yen alt art and then, try and grade them and sell them and invest in them. Whatever. I'm not going to try and buy 500 boxes of Scarlet and Violet EX or whatever it's called, Shiny EX, and put it away for investment's sake. Now, I might do certain things like every year around Christmas time at my local store, I like to offer a lot of boxes for sale because people like to buy boxes around Christmas time. So I might buy 500 boxes of Scarlet and Violet to sell for like $10, $20, $30 more come Christmas time. And that's not investing because I know I can sell them for that much more. And I pretty much know they'll sell because of my previous years. I'm not thinking about the value. Every single time in the past few years I've done it, I have benefited from a price increase. I did it with V-Star Universe. I've done it with VMAX Climax the last 2 years, the special sets. And was it? Yeah, and there was Shiny V as well. I did it. One of those three. And I benefited from that, from the prices of those boxes going up, and then also the margin of selling them in store, Christmas time demand and everything. But, I don't really know whether prices are prices. I know in Japan, it's very hard to get cards in really good condition in general. And I just try to make sure I'm trying to get cards in really good condition, regardless of price, so I can use the grade to increase the value. But, I've noticed pretty good sales volume on everything on my store, like my single store and graded store. I have cards from every era. I don't see much thing, but, some cards, I look them up now, and I was selling them for like $300, and now they're on eBay for $90. That's just how it is. That's just the nature of the business. But you gotta imagine on eBay, I guess some cards can't just go super low, otherwise people just lose money, especially graded cards. So I'm not sure if it'll drop in the future, but we'll see. Anything's possible. This hair is crazy. I'm getting hot and sweaty. I had to close the door because the dog has gone crazy. All right, guys, that's it. I'll see you for the next Ask Steve. Join the Discord, like I said earlier. And lots of great questions. Feel free to put as many questions in the next time. We managed to do this in an hour and 20 minutes. Hopefully the next one, we can do it in 5 hours. Let's get 100 questions and make it fun. Nah. But a great question on here. I'm going to do some single videos on these. See what we can do with those. And I'm going to go rest my throat because it's destroyed. And hopefully more videos in the next few days. Nah, it's terrible. I got all the grading returns to do. I got a few mail things to do. A few of these to do. And just more general advice videos when I'm there to help people. That's it. My name's Steve. And I'll see you next time.